You look at your scars and see fragility. You assume the things that fractured you left you diminished. But the reality is actually the exact opposite. The places where you broke are now your strongest points. Take a monk named Cora. She had lived at her monastery for 4 years, moving through the halls with quiet, measured steps and rarely speaking. The other monks looked at her silence and saw deep, meditative peace. They were wrong. She was hiding. A completely calm exterior is often the best cover for an unresolved past. When Cora was 14, a flash flood wiped out her family's land. In a single night, the water took their home, animals, and entire livelihood. She survived, only to be taken in by relatives who made it clear she was a burden. She had to earn every meal through hard physical labor. Her response was to shut down. She worked tirelessly and never uttered a word about the night the water rose. But keeping quiet didn't make the memories disappear. Whenever another monk mentioned losing a loved one, Cora's chest would physically tighten. If someone spoke of family, she would stare rigidly at the floor. She managed to look completely whole on the outside, but inside she was a dropped pot, held together by sheer willpower and covered in a dozen invisible fractures. One afternoon, Cora approached the old master. She confessed that while the other monks carried a steady, settled strength, she felt entirely weak. She told him she had endured too many separate traumas. The sheer number of cracks in her spirit felt impossible to close. The master listened, then instructed her to meet him in the pottery room at dawn. Waiting on a shelf were 2 clay pots. The first was brand new. Its surface was perfectly smooth and clean, without a single scratch or blemish. The second pot was roughly the same size, but it was spiderwebbed with long, deep lines. It had been shattered and painstakingly pieced back together, the old gaps filled and smoothed over with fresh clay. The master was about to demonstrate the physical difference between an object that had never faced a trial and one that carried its history. He placed the new, flawless pot on the table and set a heavy, round stone directly on top of it. Under the immediate pressure, a jagged crack suddenly shot down the thin clay, and the entire pot buckled. It looked pristine on the shelf, but its walls were uniform and thin, having never been forced to hold up under serious weight. Then he moved the exact same heavy stone over to the older, repaired pot. The weight pressed directly down onto the seams where the fresh clay had been applied. The pot held completely firm. The master asked Cora why the broken pot survived. She pointed out that the fresh clay used to bind the pieces together had made those specific spots thicker than the rest of the wall. The repair process itself added mass. A structure that survives a break and is actively rebuilt ends up physically superior to one that has never been tested. The danger of the perfect pot is its lack of history. Without any reinforced lines or thickened joints, it remains fragile, vulnerable to failing the moment a real crisis hits. This 2D cross-section shows a fracture repair. A bonding agent applied to a crack expands and cures, becoming thicker and denser than the original clay. The pressure Cora survived, the flood, harsh relatives, daily grief, was her fresh clay, hardening against the weight. The emotional scars she was trying to hide were not liabilities. They marked the exact coordinates where she had developed her thickest, most impenetrable defenses. When you survive a devastating blow and integrate that experience into your life, you build an infrastructural defense. You are fortifying yourself for the next time you fall. Cora sat quietly in the room, running her fingers over the rough, uneven lines of the older pot. They weren't aesthetically beautiful, but they were solid. They held. Think about your own history. What is the specific event that broke you, forced you to rebuild, and ultimately made you stronger than you were before? Tell me in the comments below, and subscribe for more stories that reframe how we look at our own history. If this reached you, leave a like and share it with someone who misinterprets their pain as a weakness. The things that fractured you did not diminish your value. They laid the groundwork for your resilience.